Welcome to the deep dive. Today we've pulled together some truly compelling sources, and they really mix everything from a deeply personal story to the fundamentals of holistic practice.
They really do. Our material gives us a unique sort of 360-degree look at the world of crystal healing. We're analyzing the philosophy of a practitioner, Keith Birch, but also the foundational texts.
Right, like the work of Judy Hall, which is a huge name in this space.
A giant, yeah. And we're looking at the ethical side of the business, too.
So our mission for you, the listener, is to try and move past the surface assumptions. We want to understand, through their eyes, how they believe these crystals work and what this growing acceptance might mean for self-care.
And a good place to start is with the ethos of Keith Birch, the central figure here. He's the founder of KSC Crystals.
He's not just a business owner, though. The sources identify him as a crystal healer, a teacher, and a Reiki master.
Which, for anyone who doesn't know, means he's trained in a specific form of energy healing.
And his core passion seems remarkably simple. He just wants to bring crystals into people's lives for their beauty and for their perceived power.
And he personally selects every crystal in his collection, which says a lot. It's a very personal investment.
That personal touch, it seems to translate directly into his ethics. He says his goals are just to help people and bring knowledge to others.
It's not just about selling something. It's rooted in what he calls a fair deal that comes, from the heart.
But he acknowledges that it's a balance, right? Running a professional business, but keeping that spiritual focus. He says it takes a lot of intuition and discernment.
And also some self-preservation. It's that classic intersection of the practical and the metaphysical.
Okay, but before we go any further, there's something we have to address immediately, and the sources are very explicit about this.
Yes, the medical disclaimer. This is absolutely fundamental.
It's crucial. Crystal use and energy work should not be seen as a replacement for traditional medical treatment.
Not at all. He's very, very clear. If you have any health concerns, you have to go to a doctor first.
It's only positioned as a complementary practice, something to work alongside medical care. And he's totally transparent that results are never guaranteed.
It's a supportive tool, not a cure. Once you understand that framework, you can get into the philosophy behind it.
And that philosophy starts with a pretty critical view of the current Western healthcare model.
He has a very powerful way of putting it. He says the West often deals with health matters like using a sledgehammer to deal with a walnut.
A sledgehammer for a walnut, that's vivid. It implies the whole system is just too aggressive, maybe.
Exactly, that it just masks symptoms instead of gently encouraging the body to heal itself.
So if that's the sledgehammer, then the crystal approach is meant to be the opposite.
It's inherently gentle. It's a well-being alternative.
Yeah.
And he says people often seek it out when they're in real distress, and the conventional system isn't giving them what they need.
So how is a rock supposed to facilitate healing? Let's get into the nuts and bolts of the mechanism here.
Right. It's all about energy and vibration. The core belief is that each crystal isn't just an object. It possesses a unique character, a unique vibrational pattern.
And its role is to act as a kind of personalized tuning fork.
A tuning fork, exactly. That's a great way to put it.
So it's designed to help your body harmonize itself.
Precisely. It facilitates energy transference, balancing. The end goal is to allow for chakra alignments to occur. The belief is that when those energy centers are blocked, you get physical or emotional distress.
So the crystal's job is to restore that smooth flow. It's clearly not a simple belief system.
No, and Keith himself says the more you learn, the more there is to learn. It's a lifelong pursuit.
And that dedication, it's rooted in a really extraordinary personal experience. This is where the sources get incredibly compelling.
To understand why he's such a champion for this, you have to understand the trauma that became his turning point.
And it's a difficult story. He was a lecturer at a college, and he shared that he found one of his students who had taken her own life.
The emotional fallout from that was just immense. He calls it a nervous breakdown initially, but now he reframes it as a breakthrough.
The symptoms he describes are paralyzing. He felt profoundly numb, but at the same time, totally overwhelmed.
The brain fog, too. He said he struggled to make even simple decisions, like what to have for dinner.
And that feeling of the world being too noisy, that his mental filters were just turned off, that sounds terrifying.
It really does. So his first steps toward recovery involved counseling, which he said was essential. And it was through that process that he was introduced to crystal healing.
And the idea that he was carrying a lot of negative energy from the trauma.
Yes. So he went from being completely overwhelmed to seeking a way to find some inner balance.
And which crystal did he start with? What was the first tool he used?
It was Smokey Quartz. It's known specifically for its ability to absorb negative energy.
And he said the process wasn't instant, right? It was gradual.
Very gradual. He described it as a mopping up of feelings. I thought that was a brilliant description.
Mopping up. It implies a gentle cleansing, not some forceful removal.
Exactly. And it allowed him to start replacing negative thought processes. He follows that core principle. Where thought goes, energy follows.
If you shift the thought, you can shift the energy.
And the benefits he reports today from his daily crystal work are, well, they're staggering. He lists tranquility, peace, contentment, harmony, serenity.
Balance, calmness, poise, gracefulness, and gratitude. It's an incredible list. It sounds like a total transformation.
It seems like that mopping up feeling was the first step. The calmness came first, and that allowed the other states, like gratitude, to develop later.
So that brings us from the personal story to the practical toolkit. The sources highlight a few specific crystals he uses.
Right, so we've covered Smokey Quartz for absorbing negative energy. He also mentioned malachite, which he says provides good relief from specific kinds of pain.
But there are two others that really stand out for their broad, holistic support. The first is Eclipse Stone.
Also known as bumblebee jasper.
What an interesting name.
It is. And it's described as the supreme nurturer. Think of it as the ultimate support system when you're feeling stressed. It's supposed to boost self-esteem and bring tranquility.
And then there's Spectralite, the stone of fulfillment. This one seems to be about fear.
It really is. It's meant to help take away that fear of the unknown, the fear of a big challenge. It helps you see difficulties as just a part of growth.
So it opens your mind to enthusiasm instead of dread.
That's the idea. But what's interesting is that while we're talking about all this energy and vibration, he's very open about the fact that there isn't a scientific machine that can measure these frequencies.
He tackles that skepticism head on, doesn't he? Acknowledging that some people just dismiss it all as a placebo effect.
He does. He also admits it's not an exact science and that different books will offer conflicting ideas on what certain crystals do.
So how does he reconcile that? The fact that it's not an exact science with the, intensity of the benefits he personally feels.
It comes down to personal experience. For the practitioner, the results are the proof. His journey from total breakdown to tranquility is all the validation he needs, whether a machine can measure it or not.
It puts the focus entirely on the individual's own consciousness. He also has another great analogy for self-healing, comparing working with the chakras to building a house.
Yes, that you have to make sure the foundation is solid before you can put up the walls or the roof.
So you can't just jump to spiritual enlightenment if your basic sense of security, your root chakra, isn't stable.
Exactly, which is why he says a positive attitude is so essential for any change. That attitude is part of the foundation.
And for anyone who wants to start laying that foundation, the sources mentioned he offers a free mini crystal course.
Yes, covering the basics, like how to choose crystals, create a grid, use a pendulum. It's an entry point.
Now, if we're talking about foundational knowledge, we have to talk about Judy Hall.
You really can't discuss this field without her. She is the cornerstone of modern crystal reference, a true powerhouse author, astrologer, healer.
And her most famous work, of course, is the Crystal Bible.
Published back in 2003, and it immediately became the go-to reference for practitioners everywhere. It was so detailed, origins, attributes, healing qualities.
And she wrote so many other books, too, all emphasizing that holistic approach. The Crystal Zodiac, the Encyclopedia of Crystals.
Her teachings covered everything from chakra balancing to psychic protection. She really codified the field.
And what's really amazing is how her legacy is continuing directly through Keith Birch.
It is. He's actually selling crystals from Judy Hall's personal collection.
Wow. In that community, that must be a huge deal.
It's massive. It's seen as a deep appreciation for her work, ensuring her wisdom and the energy those specific crystals are believed to carry lives on.
So let's zoom out to the bigger picture. Keith has a pretty grand vision for the societal impact of all this.
He really does. He feels crystals are becoming more accepted in the modern-day world and that it's the beginning of a new era.
And he hopes it will lead to tranquility, acceptance, contentment, and well-being on a mass scale. He talks about light workers coming together.
That's a term for people dedicated to raising consciousness. He believes if they come together, it will lead to respect for each other and could expand the human ethos 1,000-fold.
And he believes people can actively participate in this By creating crystal grids to, what, direct positive energy?
Essentially, yes. To direct attention to the appropriate area and assist us in our altruism. The idea is that enough focused, positive thought can ease global tensions.
And there's a fascinating anecdote about this.
There is. He built a powerful energy grid to bring more light to the world. And a witness described seeing gradual changes to the light in the air around it.
Not like sunlight,
Yeah.
but a gentle brightness.
A gentle brightness that manifested an exuberance. That's the word they used.
So, if we pull all of this together, what have we seen? We've explored the tenets of crystal healing, seen its deep connection to personal trauma, and looked at the effort to mainstream this knowledge through people like Keith Birch and the legacy of Judy Hall.
And the journey to understanding it really requires you to balance the deeply personal, self-reported benefits, the peace, the tranquility, with the fact that it sits, for now, completely outside of conventional scientific validation.
It asks you to explore the very edges of consciousness. Keith Birch said he hoped this conversation would be a catalyst for future positive changes. So, with that in mind and thinking about that gentle brightness in the air, if energy is not measurable by conventional means, what unknown forces might be harnessed or directed solely by focused positive human intention? And what does that gentle, unquantifiable light fundamentally represent about the true power of belief?